There are days when even breathing feels like work. Your body moves slower and your mind feels foggy, and you wonder if something's wrong with you. But what if nothing is wrong? What if stillness is part of the process? The world glorifies motion achievements, hustle, results. But healing speaks in whispers, not applause. Rest is not a pause from life, it is life. When you stop pushing, something else begins to move. Something deeper than deadlines and to-do lists. Your nervous system, tired from constant alertness, softens. Your breath, once shallow, begins to deepen. Your soul, once hidden behind effort, begins to rise. Doing nothing isn't failure. It's a return. To return to what your body remembers and your heart needs. But we've been taught to fear stillness. To see rest as laziness and slowness as weakness. We measure worth in progress and value in productivity. But your worth has never lived in what you produce. It lives in your being quiet, sacred, enough. So when you lie in bed and can't get up, it doesn't mean you're broken. It might mean your body is finally safe enough to stop fighting. Healing doesn't look like climbing mountains. Sometimes it looks like lying on the floor and breathing. It looks like staring at the ceiling and feeling. It's like watching the light move across the room, like crying without knowing why, and letting the tears fall without guilt. These moments are not empty. They're full of quiet repair. Your cells are rebuilding what stress once broke. Your heart is grieving what you were never allowed to grieve. And your spirit is stretching toward the sun again. But healing is not linear. Some days you'll feel okay, and then you won't. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. The quiet days matter just as much as the bright ones. Maybe more. Because in stillness, truth returns. You remember you are more than your output. More than how fast you respond, how much you get done. You are not a machine, and life is not a race. Even the earth rests. Even trees pause between seasons. Even stars fade before they rise again. Why should you be any different? The culture may call you lazy, but your body knows better. It knows what it's carrying. It remembers the stress, the sleepless nights, the unshed tears. It remembers what you survived. And now, it's asking to be held. Rest is how you hold yourself. Doing nothing is how you listen. Listen to your breath without trying to change it. Feel your weight without trying to lift it. Be still without needing to explain it. You don't owe anyone a reason for your rest. It is not indulgent. It is intelligent. Nature doesn't bloom all year. It cycles through silence and bloom, death and life. What if your rest is your winter? What if your healing needs the cold, quiet ground to root deeply? You are not lost. You are being replanted. Beneath the stillness, something is stirring. Old wounds are closing, gently. Old lies are dissolving. It's the ones that said you had to earn your rest. The ones that said slowing down means falling behind. What if behind is exactly where you need to be? Behind the noise, behind the chaos, behind the mask. Back to yourself. Back to a place where silence feels like safety. Where you are allowed to be soft, allowed to need, allowed to not be okay. Healing is not glamorous. It happens in quiet corners. In moments no one else sees, but you feel it. In the ache that slowly softens. In the breath that comes a little easier. In the stillness that doesn't feel so scary anymore. There is power in doing nothing. A kind of power the world forgets. It's a kind that restores instead of rushes. It softens. It says you are enough. Even now, especially now. Especially now. So take your rest without apology. Take your time without shame. You are not falling behind. You are arriving deeper. You're returning to wholeness. And wholeness cannot be rushed. Trust the stillness. Trust your need for nothingness. Because in that nothing, everything is beginning again. Quietly. Just like you. You were not made to be busy all the time. Your soul needs pauses like lungs need air, and yet we treat stillness like it's failure, as if being still means being less. But what if stillness is actually growth, just in disguise? It's like seeds in the soil, unseen but alive. It's like nightfall, preparing the world for morning. There is wisdom in doing nothing, the kind that speaks in quiet tones and soft spaces. When you slow down, you begin to notice the way the light moves across your skin, the way your breath curls into the air, the way your heart beats even when you're still. You are not lazy for needing rest. You are wise for honoring what you need. The world may not understand, but your body does. It knows the toll of always giving, always going. It knows the cost of pushing through. And it whispers, please, not this time. Stillness is not the enemy. It is a shelter, a refuge, a healing ground, a place where you remember how to breathe again. When you let yourself rest, you return to the present. Not the past that hurt you, nor the future that frightens you. Just this moment, soft and enough. No accomplishments needed, no performance required. Just you breathing, existing, healing. Maybe you've spent years in survival mode, always fixing, pleasing, running. And now that you've stopped, it feels unfamiliar, like silence after too much noise, like still water after the storm. But unfamiliar doesn't mean wrong. It means you're stepping into something new, into a part of yourself you never had time to meet. The quiet part, the gentle part, the part that doesn't shout but sings. Healing is remembering you are more than what you do. You are someone even when you are still. You don't disappear just because you're not performing. You are not invisible when you are resting. You are worthy even when unseen. There is a kind of strength that doesn't roar. It doesn't flex or strive or demand. It simply allows you to feel without fixing, allows you to be without apologizing. That is the strength of stillness. That is the quiet power of doing nothing. Rest isn't just the absence of effort, it is the presence of trust. Trust that your value is not tied to motion. Trust that your worth does not vanish in silence. When you rest, you are not abandoning life. You are nourishing it. You are watering the roots that will carry you forward. Not everything visible is vital. Some of the most important things happen in the dark. In sleep, wounds begin to close. In quiet, clarity begins to grow. In rest, resilience returns. You don't always have to be rising. Sometimes lying down is the most sacred act. Sometimes being still is the bravest choice. To let go of proving, to choose presence over performance. That's not giving up, it's coming home. Coming home to yourself without the armor, without the pretending. Just you, as you are, enough. You do not need to justify your rest. You do not need to ask permission to breathe. This world moves fast, but healing moves slow. And that slowness is a gift. It asks you to pay attention, to sit with what hurts, to notice what longs for gentleness. That is not laziness. That is love, to lie down without guilt. Cancel the plans if your heart says no. Let yourself cry if the tears come. Let yourself laugh if joy appears. There are no wrong emotions here, just signals from the deeper self. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. In this pause, in this breath, in this quiet unfolding, the world will wait. And if it doesn't, then it wasn't meant for your pace. Your healing is not a race, it's a rhythm. One that begins when you stop. One that sounds a lot like peace. Sometimes the deepest healing happens when you don't even realize it. When you're just sitting in silence, holding a warm cup of tea. When you finally let yourself stop pretending you're okay. These are not wasted moments. They are sacred ones. The ones where your body whispers, "Thank you for finally listening." We live in a world that moves too fast. Faster than our emotions. Faster than our bodies. Faster than our hearts can process. So we numb ourselves to keep up. We overcommit and overachieve. We silence our fatigue with caffeine and shame. But your exhaustion isn't something to overcome. It's something to understand. It's not weakness. It's your body telling the truth. And the truth is, you need rest. It's not as a reward, but as a right. You are allowed to be tired. You're allowed to need time. You are allowed to do nothing and still be worthy. Some wounds don't scream, they sigh. They ask for slowness, for softness, for sleep. The kind of rest that goes deeper than naps, the kind that touches your soul. It takes courage to stop. It takes even more courage to stay stopped. To sit in the quiet and let things unfold. To not rush the process. does not demand immediate clarity. Because clarity grows slowly, like light at dawn. And you are still in the early hours. The sky is soft, the world is hushed. This is not a time for answers. It is a time for breathing. It's a time for not knowing, a time for simply being, and that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay, it's necessary, because nothing blooms all the time. Even the sun sets, even the moon rests in shadow. Why would you expect yourself to be any different? You are not a machine. You are a living, feeling, healing being. And you don't have to rush your return. Rest is not the opposite of growth. It is the soil of it. The stillness where roots deepen, where strength is gathered, where new life begins in the dark. But healing can feel lonely, because the world moves on without you. Emails pile up. Expectations return. People ask, where have you been? And it's hard to answer, because how do you explain that you were simply breathing, that you were learning to feel again, you were letting go of everything that kept you pretending? There's no trophy for that kind of work, but it's the work that saves you, the quiet, invisible kind, the one that no one sees but you feel it. In your softer heart, in your slower thoughts, in your returning smile, that is healing, and it begins with nothing, no schedule, no pressure, just space, just silence, just presence. And presence is everything. When you stop filling every minute, you make space for yourself, for the part of you that is tender and wise, for the part of you that remembers what matters, not the titles, not the timelines, but the moments where you feel safe, where you feel real, where you feel whole. So if today all you did was survive, that is enough. If all you did was rest your eyes, that is enough. If all you did was sit in silence and breathe, you did more than you know. Healing isn't loud. It doesn't demand applause. It just needs permission. Permission to slow down. Permission to not be okay. Permission to begin again, gently. And so I hope you give that to yourself. I hope you trust the quiet. I hope you rest without guilt, because in doing nothing, you are doing something sacred. You are coming back to yourself. That is everything. Rest doesn't mean you're falling behind. It means you're moving differently. Slower, softer, deeper. In a world that races, this is rebellion. Gentle rebellion. A quiet stand for your well-being. You are not lazy for choosing peace. You are wise for choosing balance. Even when the world tells you to hurry. Even when voices inside you say you should be doing more. Rest is a radical act of self-trust. Trust that you don't need to be in motion to matter. Trust that the still version of you is just as worthy. But it's hard to trust stillness when you've been praised for exhaustion. When busy was a badge of honor, and tired meant you were doing enough, we've confused burnout with purpose. But purpose isn't supposed to burn you out. It's supposed to light you up, not wear you down. And sometimes, purpose begins with pause. With walking away from the noise, with turning inward. There is wisdom in withdrawing, like the ocean pulling back before a wave. Like breath held before a sigh. Like winter before spring. Your quiet is not avoidance preparation. Healing begins when you stop forcing things. When you stop chasing and start receiving. Receiving rest. Receiving softness. Receiving care. You don't have to earn care. You don't have to prove your pain. You're allowed to be tired without explanation. You're allowed to do nothing without shame. Sometimes nothing is everything. A breath, a blink, a sigh. All small, all sacred. You're healing in ways no one can see, and that's okay. Healing doesn't need to be seen to be real. Your stillness has its own quiet momentum. A rhythm slower than the world. A rhythm closer to your soul. Listen to it. It will tell you when to move again, but not yet. Now is the season of stillness, of softness, of sacred pause. The world might try to pull you back into urgency. But urgency is not truth. Truth lives in presence. And presence doesn't rush. Presence waits. It lingers in quiet corners. In warm cups of tea, in the space between thoughts, in naps and long showers, and not answering messages right away. You're allowed to disappear for a while. You're allowed to choose quiet over connection. That too is healing. That too is strength. You do not have to keep explaining your need for rest. You do not owe productivity to anyone. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are doing the invisible work, the kind that transforms you. Slowly, softly, like dusk fading into night, like seeds splitting open underground, like grief turning into grace. This is the work that will change everything, but not yet. First, the pause. First, the stillness. Let yourself sink into it. Let yourself be held by it. You don't have to know where you're going yet. You only have to be here, fully, gently, without apology. Let the silence be your sanctuary. Let the slowness be your teacher. Let the softness be your medicine. There is a quiet revolution happening inside you. One that no one can measure. One that doesn't need permission. One that simply asks, can we rest now? You can. You should. You must. Because when you rest, the world doesn't stop. It softens around you, begins to match your pace. Not because you changed the world, but because you changed yourself. And that is the quiet power of doing nothing. It's not the absence of effort, it's the return to essence. And essence is always enough. There is a part of you that remembers who you were before the noise, before the pressure, the comparison, the endless doing. That part still lives inside you, quietly waiting for your return. And your return begins in rest. In doing less so you can feel more, doing nothing so you can remember everything. Remember how it feels to be present without urgency, to sit in silence without shame, to breathe without bracing. This is not avoidance, it is arrival. You are not escaping, you are returning. And that return is slow, because healing is slow. It asks for patience you weren't taught to give. It asks for kindness you weren't taught to offer yourself. But now, you get to learn. You get to rewrite the way you treat your tired body. You get to replace guilt with grace, and shame with softness. Stillness is a language, one that your soul understands. When you listen, something opens. A space inside you unclenches. Pressure releases. Not everything needs fixing. Some things just need holding. Like a soft ache that finally gets to be felt. Like a tired heart that no longer has to pretend. You don't need to chase healing, you only need to allow it. Like light entering a room you forgot to open. Like warmth slowly finding your hands again. There is no prize for suffering longer. There is no badge for staying exhausted. You are allowed to stop carrying so much, even if no one told you that before. Even if the world keeps asking for more. You don't have to give what you don't have. You don't have to keep pouring from emptiness. Refill, reclaim, restore. These are not selfish acts, they are sacred ones. They are how you begin again. Not with force, but with permission. Permission to rest. Permission to slow down. Permission to not have all the answers. Life does not require you to be perfect. It only asks that you show up as you are. Even if as you are is messy, tired, quiet. That version of you deserves love too, especially that version. The one that cries unexpectedly. The one that needs more time. The one that can't explain its sadness. You don't need to perform your healing. You don't need to impress anyone with your recovery. Healing is not a show. It's a sacred, private unfolding. And it's okay if no one understands it but you. They weren't there when the wound happened. They don't know what it took to survive. But you do. And that's enough. Let rest be your rebellion. Let softness be your strength. Let slowness be your sanctuary. You do not need to keep up. You only need to keep going, gently. Some days that means doing nothing at all, and that counts too. Sitting still is still progress. Listening inward is still movement. Quiet is still courage. This is your healing season. Not loud, not linear, not flashy. Just honest, just real, just human. And being human means needing rest, needing space, needing moments of nothing to remember everything. You are not lazy. You are in recovery. It's from the weight of perfection, from the pressure of performance, it's from the noise of the world. This pause is not empty, it is full of meaning. Let the silence hold you. Let the stillness speak to you. It will tell you things you forgot you knew. That your breath is enough. That your body is not the enemy. That your being is already whole. You don't have to chase peace. It's already here, in this very moment. In the quiet. In you. There is a deep intelligence in rest, a knowing that cannot be found in striving. Only in stillness do we hear what matters, not the noise of expectations, but the voice beneath all voices, your own. It whispers, you are safe now. You don't have to run anymore. For years, you survived by doing. You begin to live by being. It's a gentle shift, like dusk turning to night, like waking from a long, hard dream, and noticing the softness of the sheets, the rhythm of your breath, the warmth in your chest that says, I'm still here. That's what healing feels like, soft but strong, invisible but undeniable, and often slow. So slow it feels like nothing, but nothing is not empty, it's sacred. It's space for becoming, space for unfolding, space for returning. You don't have to be the same person you were before the pain. In fact, you can't be, and that's okay. Growth means letting go of what no longer fits, even if it once felt like home, even if it once kept you safe. Rest gives you the courage to release, and the clarity to rebuild. You are not starting over, you're starting deeper, and depth takes time. Time that only stillness can give. So let yourself be slow. Let yourself be quiet. Let yourself be held by the moment. This is not laziness, it's transformation. And transformation often looks like falling apart, before it looks like anything new. But falling apart is not failure, it's making space. Space for what wants to grow through you. What if your tiredness isn't a problem to fix? What if it's a message to decode? A message that says something needs your attention, your care, your gentleness, and that attention cannot be rushed. It must be given slowly, lovingly, without agenda. This is how we heal, not by force, but by permission. You don't force a wound closed. Keep it clean, and you wait. The same is true of the heart. You cannot rush its mending, but you can be kind to it while it repairs. And that kindness begins in rest. Not just sleep, but emotional rest. The kind that lets you be messy without judgment. The kind that lets you exist without needing to be useful. You are not a project. You are a person. A soul with softness and edges. A life that cannot be measured in output. So allow the pause. Let it stretch long and wide. Let it hold you while you remember who you are. Not who you've been told to be, but who you were before the world whispered otherwise. Before the rush. Before the shame. Before the pressure. That person is still here, under the exhaustion, under the fear, under the weight of expectations. And every moment of stillness brings you closer. Closer to truth, closer to self, closer to peace. You don't need to do anything extraordinary. You only need to be real. And right now, being real might mean doing nothing. Let that be enough. Let your breath be enough. Let your body's needs be honored. Rest is not a retreat, it's a return to balance, a return to presence, a return to self. So the next time you feel like you should be doing something, pause. Ask yourself, what if doing nothing is what I need most? What if silence is the medicine? What if rest is the breakthrough? What if healing is already happening? You are not lazy, you are listening. You are not broken, you are becoming. You are not behind, you are exactly where you need to be, in stillness, in grace. One day, you will look back and realize that the quiet days were not wasted. They were where your healing began, where your heart softened and your breath returned, where the noise faded just enough for truth to whisper. You're allowed to rest. Healing doesn't always look like rising. It often looks like stillness. It's like pulling the blankets over your head and not answering the phone. Like letting yourself cry, even when no one understands why. Like saying no without explaining. It's like feeling everything you once pushed away. That's not weakness. That's restoration. The kind that doesn't announce itself. The kind that doesn't need to be seen to be real. You don't need to be visible to be valuable. You don't need to be doing to be deserving. You deserve softness simply because you exist. You deserve rest simply because you're alive. You have nothing to prove, nothing to earn. Your value was never something you had to chase. It was always inside you, waiting to be remembered. The moments when you feel the most unproductive are often the most human. Those are the moments you're learning to love yourself differently. Not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Gentle, honest, tired and still worthy. You are not a burden just because you need rest. You are a garden in recovery. Gardens need rain. They need still soil. They need time away from the sun. So do you. You are allowed to be soiled today. You're allowed to be seed. You don't have to bloom on command. You don't have to rise on schedule. Take the time you need, and then take a little more. Because what's returning is not just energy, it's gentleness. What's returning is not just movement, it's meaning. You are not restarting. You are remembering the rhythm that is yours. It's the pace that is kind. the breath that comes without panic. Stillness is your body saying thank you for listening, for not pushing, for not abandoning it again. Every time you choose rest, you're choosing self-respect. Every time you honor your limits, you're saying, I matter too. And you do. Even when you feel invisible. Even when the world rushes past you. Even when healing feels like nothing. You are still becoming quietly, softly, powerfully. The old patterns are unwinding. The old wounds are softening. The pressure's dissolving, one breath at a time. It's okay to not be who you were. It's okay to not know who you're becoming. Just keep showing up in your softness. That's enough. Don't have to finish the race. You don't even have to run. You just have to sit with yourself gently. That's where the healing begins. In presence. In honesty. In stillness that holds you instead of demands from you. You don't need to earn rest anymore. You never did. Rest is your birthright. Silence is your medicine. Slowness is your wisdom. You are healing every time you allow space, every time you breathe deeply, every time you do nothing without guilt. That is your quiet power. The power that doesn't need noise to be real. The strength that looks like softness. The courage to be gentle with yourself, especially when it's hardest, especially when everything says you should do more. Let them rush. Let them chase. You have chosen a different way, a softer way, a healing way, a way that begins and ends with rest. You are not lazy, you are healing, and that is more than enough. This is quiet philosophy, where thinking isn't loud, and life doesn't need to be either. Subscribe if you haven't already, not for noise, but for something you can actually feel.